today's episode, we talked to Arthur Newell, SVP of Zions Bank. So the question that I have is, who has the more soothing voice, you or Lloyd?
Well, it just depends on who you're talking to.
No way.
No,
That was really good.
By no question, it's by a mile, Lloyd.
I don't know. That
You
was
could sub
pretty.
in for
that,
him
You
while he's
absolutely
gone.
could. That was pretty
I
good.
can in the morning till about 8:30, and then my voice goes into the tenor world until I'm a baritone is what part I sing, but then I move into tenor, and then by the evening it's back to bass again. Lloyd has that sonorous. He's always had that voice. I remember when we're not recording this, are we?
Oh, we can.
They
Or
have
he's just
started,
gonna-
but we can.
He can edit this.
We can
all
edit
out,
it.
but
Oh yeah.
Anyway, when he used to, as a kid, when he would speak in church or
Yeah.
whatever, people would just be like, "Ooh, that," and then
Just so smooth.
And he
Smooth
did
Lloyd.
the news, for a CBS affiliate station back in
Oh, no
East, and then
way.
he was on CNN before he moved out here. And
I didn't know that.
That calling, it's a church calling for him.
Yeah.
It's a volunteer service.
Wow.
It's not a paid gig. A lot of people say, I would like that job.
It
I'd
was.
like to stand
You're
and
like, well,
do
that's
that
a
job.
lot of volunteering.
And then they find out, no, it's a volunteer opportunity.
Oh my gosh.
So anyway,
What did he do for CNN?
He was an anchor man for CNN.
No way.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
That was his background, was news.
Was it your job to put your kids to bed, or was it your wife? Because that smoothing lullabies. Is that?
Well, it was, I would read stories to them. And, we still read to our grandson in Ohio.
Yep.
Every week we call him and we read
Cute.
stories to him, which wouldn't work for most kids, but for him, he'll sit there for an hour and
Wow.
we can read to him. Most kids, 2 minutes and they're out of there. But he loves it.
Well, I don't know if you know this, but I wrote a children's book.
You did?
You did?
Yeah.
What's the title?
It's Ricky and Scratch. And so for years, I would tell the same, group of characters, a story around them. And I just make up the story as we go along as I put them to sleep.
Cute.
And they really liked it. So, we're on year 7 or 8 of this.
So did you publish this book?
Yeah, well, we had it printed, but we have copies, but I don't know if anyone else does.
I was
How
going to say,
cool is
here's a
that?
plug. Everyone go buy Ricky and Scratch on
Yeah,
Amazon.
no, it's not on
Ricky and
Amazon,
Scratch.
but it was kind of fun because
That's cute.
So I didn't really know what I was doing, but I hired an illustrator,
Yeah.
and I'm kind of, I don't know, I didn't really think of the plot line too much. I just thought I'd kind of wing it with my kids, and so I started setting in the plot, and pretty soon this book was 50 pages long for a children's book, and it was every page was 50 words, and my wife's like, I don't know if this is gonna catch on, and the artwork got really expensive. This project got out of control fast,
Wow.
but I loved it because it's kind of the same universe of what I pull from every night, and they're always asking for. I don't think I do a good job. In fact, I've gotten a lot lazier at children's books that I went on iTunes and I downloaded sound effects, and I have my portable speaker, and now instead of getting a really good creative story, which is kind of a lot of pressure every night before the kids, I just play a lot of sound effects mostly. I'm and here's Ricky getting eaten by the lion, and then you hear this big lion just roaring.
It's kind of terrifying.
Yes, it's a little terrifying. The older I get as a dad, the worse the stories are getting. I feel bad for them.
Well,
The more
you have
terrifying.
years and
Yeah, they get
years
very
of
terrifying.
stories you ran out of ideas, so.
Oh yeah, for sure.
How many children do you have?
3.
3.
Yeah.
Okay.
And got one in Ohio.
Ohio.
And they're married with 2 kids. They're adorable kids. That's the one I read to.
Cute.
And
That
then
is cute.
I have a daughter who just had a baby about 3 weeks ago.
Oh,
And
congrats.
they are in Boise.
Oh, cool.
And he's just accepted a job with Boeing down in Southern California.
Wow.
So they'll be going to Southern California. And then my daughter, who's been in the tech world here in Utah, just took a job in San Antonio. So she's moved down to San Antonio.
Oh, they're all over the place.
They're all
So
over
you're
the place,
empty
which is-
nesters.
Yeah, we weren't expecting that. We were thinking they'd all be around the neighborhood, but
Let's talk mountain
that's not
biking.
the way it is. Yeah.
the electrical bikes, or is that kind of you like the real thing?
Honestly,
Yeah.
well, I like any true mountain biker. When e-bikes came out,
Yeah.
we all sort of looked at them with disdain.
That's
like,
right.
You need
You have to have
assistance.
this.
What
You need
is
assistance.
your
What is your problem?
You
Yep.
need assistance. No, I'm doing it the old-fashioned way.
That's right.
You know, gearing up the hill. And a year ago, I bought an e-bike, and I told myself I'll
Yeah.
rotate every other time. Well, that soon morphed into pretty much just
Pure
going on the
e-bikes.
e-bike because I can cover so much more terrain.
man.
At the end of the, it's
You
much
get
more
to
fun.
see more.
Oh yeah, it's really a
You
pretty.
tell the neighbors to zip it every time. You're like, don't bring this up.
Yeah, it's a delightful experience, but I love it. There's something about with mountain biking that you have to put in some effort to climb
yeah.
up to a hill, and then you get up there and you can look at it and say,
Oh, yeah.
there's my car down
I
there.
was. I did this.
I
Or the bike
pedaled
did
up
this
here.
in this
Yeah,
instance.
in that case, but and then you have that sweet descent. It's sort of a, eat the frog and then you get the benefit after. That's not a very good example, but you get the worst thing done first,
Yep.
and then you're able to look forward to.
Okay, so best trails in
Thanks.
Utah.
Well, I don't want to give those away.
Just give some bad trails.
Top
And we'll pretend like
secret.
those are the good ones.
I'll just tell you, I go up to Corner Canyon a lot.
Oh, okay.
And Corner Canyon, Draper City has done such a great work in preserving open spaces up there. And what I love is you go up there and these high school teams are up there, which at first kind of annoyed me, but then I came to love it because these high school kids, they're picking up a habit, a hobby that they can enjoy their whole life.
That's right.
And they teach them etiquette.
That's
so
really
they're
cool.
the kindest people on the trail.
No way.
When you're riding up, you'll always hear, coming on your right, or
that's cool.
biker, they'll pull over, and the coaches teach them etiquette. So it's, anyway, that's marvelous. Moab, I used to go to Moab a lot.
Oh, yeah.
But I like to stay on my bike now, and so rather than go over the handlebars. So Moab was good for that, but
Just a lot of injuries. Zions wasn't too down with that.
But there are some great trails in Utah. We're so fortunate in Utah that we have these amazing mountains and trails and areas where you can go and recreate. It's amazing.
So let's talk a little bit about Zions Bank.
Yeah.
You have a pretty incredibly long history of banking and like a lot of success. Moved from Wells Fargo, eventually got all the way up to Zions, executive vice president. Tell us, how did you get into banking? How did this all happen?
Well, I started with thinking I had a job that was a summer job, and it was kind of a nasty cleaning out warehouses and the stuff on the floor.
That's
and
how we all start.
Yeah, I thought I got to do something different. And when you go to the bank, you get a lollipop. So I thought, that seems like a good thing.
They lured you in.
Yeah,
you went for the lollipop and you stayed for your whole career.
That seems like a good career path.
That's awesome.
And I can dress up and go to work. And so I started as a teller when I was in school.
Yeah.
And I just stayed in it ever since.
No way.
And it's been a great career. And I've really grown to appreciate the role bank plays in the community because we've celebrated this year. Well, last year was a 150-year celebration at Zions
Unbelievable.
Bank. And looking back at what the bank and other financial institutions in the valley and the state have done to help build the state of Utah is very gratifying when you see the businesses that are out there, the access to capital, and that's the magic sauce of banking. We help people access capital to build and grow and create wealth for themselves and for their employees and their families and build a quality of life.
I can't imagine there's many banks in the western U.S. that were around in the 1800s.
There are not very many anymore.
Yeah. Are you guys the oldest?
No, I don't think so. But in the Mountain West, maybe the Zions Bank was started by the members of the prophet of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Started it when they first came
Oh, interesting.
here to Salt Lake Valley,
Yeah.
and then it was sold to Roy Simmons, Harris Simmons' father, back in 1963, I think it was.
Huh.
And it's been privately held since
Oh,
then.
no way.
Well, privately held. It's publicly traded.
Yes.
But that's the story of the bank, and we we're in 8 different states, and a lot of people don't know that. But in Utah, Idaho, and Wyoming, we operate as Zions Bank.
Okay.
In the other states, for example, in Texas, it's Amegy.
Oh,
In
interesting.
Colorado, it's Vectra Bank.
Oh, wow.
In California, it's California Bank Trust. So you get the idea. In different markets,
Yeah.
we have different branding, but they're affiliate banks for the whole overall bank corporation. So
Oh, very, very interesting.
anyway, so that's it. And we're about 90 billion, so we're approaching that $100 billion mark.
Oh, that's going to be a big day.
So-
Me and you are going to have a party.
That
when it
sounds
hits
great.
100.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, speaking of events, you have an event coming up, and you've had it in the past. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, thank you, Jeremy. The bank has held for years. We held an annual international trade summit, and through the COVID and those years, we discontinued it. Well, we're firing it back up this year. So
Yeah.
on May 23rd at the Grand America will be the Crossroads of the World International Trade Summit, sponsored by Zions Bank
Oh, that's
and the
awesome.
World Trade Center of
Oh, yeah.
Utah. So we've got some amazing speakers. Hopefully, by the time this podcast is aired, George W. Bush will have signed the contract. So they're assured that they would sign. We've been working on it for a month, but
Man, you're starting at the top.
yeah, he'll be there, and we've got the former presidents of Mexico, Vincent Fox will be there, and
No
Stephen
way.
Harper from Canada. We've got trade officials. Princess Rima from Saudi Arabia will be here.
Holy cow.
We've got just a lot of trade officials. And then our final speaker of the day will be Bear Grylls, who
No way.
we're bringing him in.
No way.
To give a little pizzazz. He's going to talk about his global business that he's built. He's from the UK, and so
Oh, yeah,
we're
the
bringing him over
knife
here.
business.
Yeah, he
those?
does that. The survival shows.
Oh, that
he
is
does.
amazing. So, okay, so
So-
little
It's
known
not your
story.
favorite.
Yes. Okay. So my son, we named him Boston, my second son, but he was almost named Bear after Bear Grylls.
Oh.
Like I was big.
Wow, you're a
big,
fan.
Big.
You
That's
are
Bear
a
good to
Grylls
know.
fan.
That's good to know.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to have him break. So you're saying I should probably dress up a little bit better than I am right now?
You're looking perfect.
I'm looking pretty good.
Oh yeah, that's
Anna,
exactly.
I don't know. Anna's
what
giving me
it
this look.
is.
I don't know
Oh,
about
no,
this.
no. it's-
I
you look
think you're great.
I'm in.
As long
That
as you
is-
can get through security, you're good.
That is
Jeremy,
totally
so.
cool. I'm totally in.
So this is an event you guys are going to be doing every year moving forward, correct?
Yeah, we hope to.
Okay.
And we've done it for probably, I think, 8 or 9 years, and then, as I said, we discontinued it for about 3-4 years, and we're starting it back up again. So we're super excited about it, and it'll be free. The event will be free, and
That's
anyway,
amazing.
you can go to the World Trade Center's website, and it will direct you to where you
Awesome.
can go.
So the dates this year in 2024 are what?
Is the 23rd,
23rd.
which is a Thursday of May.
Thursday.
Of May.
And
And
hopefully
then-
we'll bring it back for 2025.
So
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
podcast might be released after this
It
event,
might
so
be.
we'll see all of the
Yeah.
cool videos and pictures.
Yeah, that would
But
be great.
next year.
So
Next year.
Now, kind of going on another subject.
Expand your team's skill set and drive conversions. Volcanic Retail University offers specialized courses to keep your brand ahead in the retail game. Go to university.volcanicretail.io and apply code podcast50 for 50% off.
Tell me about the relationship of ZCMI and Zions Bank. ZCMI, obviously, a major, I think it was the first department store in the U.S., wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's really early connections with Zions and ZCMI early on.
Yeah, ZCMI, Zion's Cooperative Mercantile. I actually used to have a suit that said ZCMI.
Oh, that's awesome.
I kept it for years thinking, I'm just going to hold on to this.
Oh, yeah, that's too
Here,
good.
I didn't wear it today.
Oh, no.
But anyway.
We'll edit that in post-production.
Yeah, there you go.
We'll Photoshop it onto you.
Yeah, those of you
ZCMI.
who knew ZCMI was a great
That was my favorite.
department store, and it was really well run. It was owned by the LDS Church, and similar to the bank was at that time. And then the church began divesting some of their assets, and their profitable business type assets. And
I sold shoes at ZCMI.
really,
Yeah, I was terrible at it, but
that's awesome.
Yep.
Was that your first job?
no, my first job was Dan's Foods, making $4.25 an hour, pushing around the grocery carts.
Well,
Yeah.
Jeremy, you're older than I thought you were.
No, I'm terribly old.
If you're selling shoes at ZCMI,
Yep,
it's been a few years.
it's been a few years.
I don't even know. I've never heard of that
Yeah,
store before.
I'm
so.
You've never heard of ZCMI?
No,
Anna
no,
hasn't, yeah.
I haven't.
Oh my goodness sakes.
Yeah.
That is crazy. So we've got a lot of retail brands and a lot of retail chains that listen to this podcast. So as a brand that's not affiliated from Utah but is interested in working with ZCMI, what are some of the main benefits? I mean, what is ZCMI?
But we can talk.
ZCMI, Zions Bank. They're interested in working with Zions.
Well, I'd say first of all, we're a retail institution as well.
Yep.
In banking, we are all about retail, and so we've been trying to improve the customer experience, and in order to do that, you've got to have multiple ways that the customer can access.
Yeah.
And so we have obviously a large branch network, 120 branches
Wow.
in the market. And so that's one thing, but brick and mortar doesn't reach all consumers. So you've got to have a robust electronic offering. So we were the first bank that pioneered desktop deposit, and the technology's kind of moved beyond that, but that technology where you had a little machine on your desk, and instead of having to go into the bank, you can scan the checks. And it was remarkable. And now you can do it with photograph from your phone,
so cool.
or those kinds of things. So being able to be adaptable to new technology, making the process seamless so that the consumer feels like that they can access it when they want it and how they want it, and then having an experience that provides delightful experience.
So a lot of retail brands have to get started with SBA loans and personally guarantee them. That's kind of the cool thing about entrepreneurship is it's kind of like this is where the rubber meets the road, right? Like, do I believe in myself to actually launch this brand and to be successful at it? So with some of the SBA loans with Zions, what are some of the different requirements? What are some benefits of getting SBA? What are some of the risks associated for different brands that are listening in?
Well, thanks for asking that question.
Yeah.
The leading source of funding for new business startups after personal cash is credit cards, unfortunately, home equity credit lines. But then largely it's beyond that initially, other than friends and family, is SBA.
Yeah.
And so SBA remains a cornerstone product for a lot of financial institutions.
Yep.
And there's a lot of different products with SBA lending. The primary product, or the one that was most often thought of with SBA, is called the SBA 7A loan, which is a working capital loan. You can use it for real estate or capital needs or equipment, any of those kinds of things. And it's a versatile program. And
is it backed by collateral? Like collateralized
often
inventory?
They will SBA will want to take anything that's available as collateral, but collateral is a secondary thing compared to a traditional bank loan that you have to look at collateral, because the key isn't is how you're going to get out of it if the primary repayment source
Yeah.
doesn't work.
Yeah.
So the other product that's common is called an SBA 504, which is
Okay.
used for real estate purchases.
Oh, yeah.
And those, when you see the buildings that are around that people finance on SBA 504 program, and the advantage to them is you can go 80 to 90% loan to value.
No way.
So yeah,
you're borrowing a lot of money.
You're borrowing a lot of money, and so you have to look at the leverage, of course, of what it does to your financial structure on your balance sheet.
Yep.
But it's a great product to be able to get in instead of paying rent to be able to get a building, or it could be heavy equipment, any of those kinds of products.
So if somebody already has an SBA loan and they're starting a new brand and they're looking to borrow another $250,000, are they allowed to get a second SBA loan, or does the government cap you at the first?
No, you're not. In fact, I think the number is $5 million is what you're capped at, and
No
I may not
way.
be right, but you could do $1 million loans, right?
No way. I
Or
had
one
no
$5 million
idea.
loan. So yeah, you can layer on different SBA type loans. And I was
Wow.
going to mention, Jeremy, the other product that some of your listeners may
Yeah.
not be aware of is that there are other programs with the SBA. There's an export and import program that encourages and helps build and encourage businesses that want to export or want to import product. There's a whole product offering there.
Oh, that is interesting.
And then there's a program that's called Exim Bank that's a government guarantee type program as well. And any of those kinds of services, the key is to find a financial institution that can provide value by offering these kinds of products and matching it to what the needs of the business are.
What are typically the terms on these? Are these like line of credits, or are they like 10-year term loans, or?
Yeah, there's both. There's lines of credit and there's term loans, and so what you want to do is match ideally the source of repayment to the term of the loan. So all that means is that if it's coming from earnings, then you probably want to lengthen it out. If it's coming from the sale of something or receivables that are being collected, then you want to time it so it's a little shorter term.
Does Zions deal with purchase order financing or factoring, or any of those, some of those terms that people that are in retail are familiar with, on how to leverage a purchase order from a big retailer and allow them to actually go manufacture those goods before they deliver?
Yeah, that's a hard one for financial institutions. SBA actually has a PO for purchase order finance type program.
Oh, interesting.
And I've heard of a few banks that are dabbling with it. We're starting to kind of look into it. But PO finance is difficult, and the reason being is because it's all subject to performance.
Yes.
Whereas when you have a receivable, the performance has happened. They've accepted the good or service.
Yes.
And all you're waiting for is payment. So the risk is a little different from accounts receivable versus a purchase order finance. So it's a little more difficult. We'll often back it with other assets or find a different approach to kind of help, because, and maybe it might be unsecured if you've got a really good purchase order from retail vendor, as you said.
Yeah, so that's the
that
devil's
might
in
be
the
a good
details,
one.
because some retailers, they're doing it consignment, some are doing pay on scan, some of them are doing net 30, net 60 terms, and some of them have really bad chargebacks. Like, you might be dealing with a retailer and they might put in a purchase order for $200,000, but if it's not selling, or if there's some sort of deductions, you've already borrowed that money. You thought that the money was coming back to you so that you could repay Zions Bank, but the reality is there's going to be a little bit of a shortfall there.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, it's just more risky lending. In fact, when you go to what we call ABL lenders, asset-based lenders, and those are generally backed by venture capitalists who want return on their money, and there's a good place for them. But even those type lenders have a hard time doing PO finance. It's a difficult, so you have to look at other things. Like you've got to look at the other sources of repayment and the strength of that contract and the ability to perform.
Okay, I'm going to talk about the retailer side of the world.
Yeah.
So plenty of big retailers. Let's imagine you're a local retailer in Utah and you want to put up another Harmon store or another Associated Food store, and or whatever it is, right? Now, what would the conversation be like, and what would the vehicle be like for somebody who's looking for a large facility, very large square footage, and is having it as basically the retail store itself? I'd imagine you do some sort of loans there too.
Yeah, in that case, financial institution, they would do that via either just a traditional term real estate loan or an SBA loan, or often large ones like the ones you're talking about. They might use a bank that has capital markets group, which, for example, Zions, we have a capital markets group that does everything from bonding to helping entrepreneurs raise money. It's about trying to find ways to understand what the need is and then find a solution to help meet that need. So our capital markets group does that. They do securitizations.
Very interesting.
We do all kinds of bonding. We'll do any kind of finance like that will run through our capital markets group.
So you've got a couple different types of banks on two different sides of the spectrum. Some that are a little smaller and they're more community banks. They deal a little heavier on how long you've known the bank. They have committees based off of sort of the relationship. And then on the other side of the spectrum, with really large banks, it really comes down to credit score, right? So where does Zions kind of fall in that spectrum?
Wow, you're setting me up with softball. I can just
knock that sucker out of the park.
Knock it out of the park. But that is exactly the niche we play in. I think what I would say when we went through the Silicon Valley Bank, I'll call it a fiasco, but the situation a year ago.
You could say fiasco.
Yeah. It was really interesting because as a regional bank, we got lumped in with a lot of other regional banks in that. And the reality of it is the banks that were in trouble were kind of niche banks like Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank or First Republic Bank. They all had kind of a niche that they did. What Zions is we're a Main Street bank.
Yeah.
You see us on the corner. We're lending money.
Real estate, you do.
Real estate, we're lending to the businesses that are there in your community.
Yep.
We're not doing exotic finance, at least that I know of. We're not doing any exotic financing of some ski resort in the Swiss Alps.
It's pretty conservative.
It's about trying to assist our depositors, our customers, with the needs they have in the local communities. So that's one of the things that Zions that's helped us get through that period of time.
Yeah.
Because it was in our whole industry, it was a difficult time because it's all based on perception.
If you love supporting women in business like I do, then you have to go check out what the ladies at Ivy City Co. are doing. They design high-quality apparel for every age and every stage of life. We're talking dresses, matching outfits for the whole family, wedding wear, and more. As seen on celebrities like Serena Williams and Joanna Gaines, this brand is well-loved for a reason, and they offer a wide array of sizes from newborn to women plus sizes. And they have a great discount code for our listeners. Use code WARGAMES20 to get 20% off at ivycityco.com. One more time, WARGAMES20 for 20% off your order at ivycityco.com.
But 08, I mean, all these these little blips that we've had, and the other one more recently. Seems like Zions has done really well through COVID, through all these other. When you compare it to other banks of similar size, Zions, I felt like it weathered the storm really well.
Yeah, and I think that's again because of our market placement where we're at.
Yeah.
We're in that. I mean, we value small business, we value mid-size, and we value large business, but But that's kind of, we run a pretty broad swath. Some of the larger banks, they focused on the higher end, larger transactions, that kind of thing, and we can do that. And they've forgotten the small business because they make more money on these larger transactions. But we like the diversification that a local community bank does. And as you know, Zions is committed to community. We do a lot of things in our communities in terms of sponsorships and all of those things. Scott Anderson, our CEO up until yesterday.
That's right. I read about
yesterday
that.
was his last day, and Paul Burtis is our new CEO.
Sad. Well, good for him.
Yeah, and but there's been a commitment to the community, so that's why you see our branding on so many things in the community, because that's where our money goes, and that's what we try to support.
I've noticed that we've worked with quite a few brands, bringing them from outside of the country into the U.S. And we set up a new entity, and it's now a U.S.-owned entity by that brand and by us or whoever it is. A lot of times you have to set up, you try to set up a bank that has presence in both countries, just for accountability purposes. What's the best way, if a customer from outside the United States wants to work with Zions, what are some different methods and capabilities that Zions has to kind of mitigate that issue?
That's a good question. We have correspondent banking relationships with banks in other countries outside where we don't have a presence in.
Oh, interesting.
And so we are able to transact business in those markets via some of those correspondent banks.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got a couple questions for you.
Okay.
On the lighter side.
Yeah.
Best ski resort in Utah?
Well, that's no question. I would go with, personally, Park City.
Park City.
This year, I've been skiing a lot at Deer Valley, and I loving these groomer runs that are just spectacular. So, but Park City, followed by probably Deer Valley for me.
Have you always skied? You ever venture over to snowboarding?
I did one day just so I could say I did one day, and I got so I could make a few turns and said, okay,
see you
that's
later.
good.
We'll count
After
that
about 1,000 falls, I thought, okay, I can go back to skis.
So I grew up, I did the whole scout thing, right? The Eagle Scout thing and everything else. So I went to I tried to get some merit badges, but I was always underdressed. We had a family cabin that was shared by cousins up in Brighton. It's a ski and ski out cabin. And for years, I'd see people skiing down it, and I'd be throwing snowballs at them. It's about all I could offer. But I once went up to go skiing, and I had like normal Levi's blue jeans, and my jeans were like just totally freezing to death. I wasn't dressed proper for it.
Solid.
Yeah,
Rock hard.
and so I
I've
couldn't ever get over it. But people ask me all the time, "Do you ski?" And I don't know how to answer that. Also, my dad went on his first day with my mom, and he broke his leg skiing.
Oh, wow.
And so I get a little.
It's not your thing.
It's not my thing. I get a little freaked out. But you probably ski. You grew up in Midway.
Yeah. We skied at Deer Valley growing up because the gondola was like 8 minutes from my house.
Yeah.
So we kind of got spoiled, but
Wow.
that's my favorite ski resort. It's
It's never too late. You should.
I think it
pick
is too
up.
late for me.
It's-
Arthur, I don't know if you've seen me recently, but I think it's too late.
No. I say to people, to survive the winters, you have to have
Something to do.
something that you love to do, whether it's snowmobiling or ice skating or skiing or whatever it is. You've got to have something that curling, maybe that's your thing, but something to make the winters fun and enjoyable. And skiing is a great way to do that.
Well, I'll think about it. I don't know. I don't really trust myself nowadays. So, top 2 movies growing up. What were your favorite movies?
Well, of course, my most favorite quoted movie is Princess Bride.
It's got a lot of good quotes.
It's just the screenplay was so wonderfully done by William Goldman, who wrote the book.
Oh yeah.
Although he claims he didn't write the book, but the characters in that, and the lines and it's just a beautiful film. Mm-hmm. It's an amazing film.
Andre the Giant. Any movie with Andre the Giant is a good movie.
It's going to be good. Well, it had everybody in there from Mandy Patinkin and Billy Crystal.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It was just, and Carrie Ewells, of course, but that's wonderful. Beyond that, I would say, probably back to the Star Wars saga because they
which
were
one is the best?
so amazing. Well, I actually, it's hard not to say the first one because when that's your first experience with that genre like that.
Yeah, it just blew everything else out of the water.
Yeah, it was an amazing experience.
Yeah. Yeah, we're big Star Wars fans. We loved the first three. And then the second grouping that came back out, I think was absolutely terrible. But obviously the recent ones are amazing. And now we watch The Mandalorian and all those others, and it's an incredible film. I can't.
Yeah. So which are your two films?
Oh, what do I like? I like Top Gun 2.
Top Gun
That
2,
is
the second one.
Incredible movie. Yep. And I love shows like, I would say, something like Braveheart or Gladiator or something like that. Yeah. The Patriot's probably my favorite.
Victorious at the end.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Top Gun's amazing.
I love also Lord of the Rings. That
Lord of the
series
Rings
was amazing.
Yep.
How about you, Anne?
I don't honestly watch a lot of movies, so it's hard for me to pick one. But we were talking about this yesterday. I love movies that are like true. So any
True stories.
true story, I'm there.
Pursuit of Happiness is
Yes.
unbelievable.
Yep.
Anna, Pursuit of Happiness is one, or did you say
No,
that?
he
I
said
said it,
that.
yeah.
But yeah, movies along those lines. I
True
like those.
story.
Yeah, we watch a lot of documentaries. We
Yeah.
don't quite venture into the Discovery Channel like Jeremy does, but we like the.
Yeah.
Everything's animal shows at my house.
Well, there's different life cycles, right?
Oh,
With the
yeah.
family, kind of growing up and trying different things.
Well, you're awesome for
Yes.
coming on. We really appreciate it. So, for all the brands that are watching, from international or domestic, they want to get involved with Zions Bank or learn a little bit more. Where should they visit? What's the website?
Well, zionsbank.com.
Okay.
And, of course, you can go into any branch. You're welcome to call me, and I can filter those requests. But, yeah, we would just love the fact that this, the retail space, how interesting it is. We had someone on our advisory board who's in retail, brick and mortar store, and I was talking to her about it just a week ago.
Oh, yeah.
And she said brick and mortar's never been better.
It's amazing.
And so it was really kind of interesting because I thought with Amazon and Walmart and all the big boxes
Nope, it's
going
still-
digital, it's
Still 80% of retail is
Yeah,
brick and mortar.
People still
like
want
that.
that
Yeah,
experience.
It's not going away.
So I think it's a wonderful niche, and it's something that from a consumer standpoint is integral to our economy, right? So yeah, we would love to help anybody if we can direct you through the process. If we can help you, if not, we can give you some help going somewhere else. But we would love to be able to take care of you.
And are you
So
going to be
thank
able to
you.
introduce me to Bear Grylls at Crossroads of the West?
I'm kind of in charge of this, and I'm not sure I'm gonna.
You're not sure that you're going to talk
think-
to him?
I
Well,
think
I'm
he's
sneaking
gonna-
and I'm meeting him either way.
I think he's going to come in, and I think he's going to say hi, and he's going to go on
He's out.
stage. So, but I think he loves Utah, so I think he's planning on spending a few days
That's
here.
awesome.
So he'll be probably right now. It's looking like the last speaker. So if you hang around,
Who knows
you'll
what
be
could
able to
happen?
meet him.
Magic could
Yep,
happen.
You'll be able to meet him
Well, thank you
afterwards.
so much for coming on.
Thank you,
I
Jeremy and
appreciate
Anna.
Yeah,
thank
thank
you.
you.
It's so congratulations on this podcast and
Yeah.
what you're doing. The exciting road ahead
Yeah, volcanic
for
retail.
volcanic
Yeah, it's
retail.
gonna be insane.
That's going to be amazing.
Yeah, pretty excited
And
We're
about it.
excited.
We're going to make this state the retail capital of the world. I firmly believe it.
Well, that's super exciting. And
Well,
so good luck with that. If
do
we
it.
can help in any way, let us know. So
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Maximize your sales team's potential with Volcanic Retail University. Our courses cover everything from foundational retail knowledge to advanced strategies for established brands. Go to university.volcanicretail.io and use code RWG for 30% off.